What is up YouTube, Elllinia IMO here, bringing you my latest edition of my stat distribution / equipment showcase, this time around featuring my mage for BF1 named Elllinia. Now let's get started with the stat distribution, shall we? Now for a mage on BF1, a mage basically has three kinds of builds you can work around with. But the purpose of a mage in BF1 is like the main build / recommended build, in my opinion, is 18 intelligence and 18 wisdom. That's basically your basic typical mage build, or not build, stat distribution. And if you just want to know the other two stat distributions, which I really don't recommend for BF1, the other two are of course a con mage and a mixed mage. But it's really recommended to run, like I said, 18 intelligence and 18 wisdom on BF1. Now let's get started with the equipment showcase, and I'll give you tips. I'll be showing you my equips and giving you tips on what's good and what's bad, like what to get on your mage. Now let's get started with it. Let's start with the hat. Now for the hat, a mage typically, or a mage really just has 3 hats to run with, or 3 hats to work around with. The first being the old hat, which gives you 1 armor, 1 INT, 1 intelligence. And the second being the magician hat, the magician hat, that gives you 1 armor and intelligence 3. And of course, the frog hat, which gives you 1 armor, 5 resist 10, mana plus 7, and intelligence plus 2. Now for a mage, I really recommend either running the frog hat or the magician hat. But in my opinion, in this case, the frog hat is way better and the best hat a mage can technically run on BF1 or use on BF1. That is because a frog hat does indeed have really good stats all around. It has the same armor as the other hats a mage can utilize on BF1. Plus, it gives you the 5 resist 10 for tanking mages, for taking hits from mages, making you more defensive. It gives you mana plus 7, really helpful in my opinion. And of course, it still gives you that intelligence 2, while in this case the magician hat only gives you 1 armor and intelligence 3. So if you're running the frog hat is basically a mixture of the magician hat and the dungaree hat, the 5 resist dungaree hat, because it has the 5 resist from the dungaree hat, and it only has 1 less intelligence from the magician hat, but it's still better in my opinion. So the number 1 hat for a magician on BF1 is of course the frog hat, the second being the magician hat, and the third being the dungaree hat, the red one. All of those are good, but it's really highly recommended to run the frog hat, which is really good. I fell in love with this hat, and many of you will also fall in love with this hat because it's really good. Now let's move on to the necklace. Now for necklaces, a BF1 mage can only utilize 3. The number 3, the 3 necklaces are the coral necklace, which gives you that 5 resist, which is the max 5 resist on it, and it gives you 1 armor, and it also gives you poison resist. The poison resist, I really don't see it as much, because I really just ignore poison resist on this game, because no mage runs this skill. No mage runs the poisoning skill, because it's technically useless, and this skill is technically the only poisoning skill out of all the skills that a mage uses. So it's poison resist is pretty much useless on a coral necklace / in this game. Now let's move on to the second best necklace for a mage. The second best necklace is of course the Dark Skull necklace, which gives you that 2 armor and critical 3. Now the Dark Skull necklace is a pretty good necklace. It gives you 1 more armor. It gives you 2 armor for getting physical armor, or for taking physical damage, or tanking physical damage, and it gives you that critical 3 to boost up your criticals on your mage. Now the number 1 necklace is of course the necklace you see me wearing, which is of course the Mother Nature. This necklace gives you the 2. It starts off with the 2 same stats as the Dark Skull necklace, which is 2 armor, critical 3, but it also adds you or gives you an additional health 20 and mana plus 20. Now this necklace is the best necklace in the game so far, and it's really overpowered on the BF1 camper because it gives you a lot of good stats all around. It gives you good armor, gives you good critical, and it gives you good health for tanking / taking damage / survivability, and it also gives you plus 20 mana, which is really good to use. The more mana you have, the better on a mage is what I say. Now let's move on to the cloaks. Now for a cloak, a mage can only utilize the same as the necklaces, only 3. Now the three best cloaks on the game. Let's start with the third best cloak. Now the third best cloak is of course the Cloak of Health, which is basically or technically dropped in Mushroom Spore. Now this cloak only gives you health. It does not give you any armor. It just gives you health, a health boost on the cloak. And that's technically the easiest robe to get. The easiest cloak to get by far. Now the second best cloak in the game for a BF1 mage as of now is of course the Bulldozer Cloak, which gives you a simple 1 armor, no other stats. It's just a plain 1 armor clean. That's pretty basic. It's pretty simple, and it is an easy drop. It's easy to get. It's an easy drop, and the monster / the mob that drops this cloak is of course the Bulldozer. Either the blue one or the green one. The Bulldozer or Bulldozer's brother, which is located in either of the forests, Woody Wardy or Woody Weedy. Now the best cloak by far in the game is of course the Cloak of Will. Now the best cloak, like I said, for a mage on BF1 is of course a 1.0 Cloak of Will. It gives you that 2 armor, high armor, and that 2 armor is technically, like I say, it's really good for BF1 because since you're low level, there's not that many type of equipment that gives you that high armor boost, like 2 armor, and it does give you a deadly strike boost of 1.0. Meaning, once you equip this cloak or equip a pet, you will start getting deadly strikes, and it does give you that health 20 for more for taking hits and more survivability, which is really good. Now this cloak, if you're running this cloak, it's really recommended to run it at its full enchant, which is the 1.0 cow. It's called cow because cow equals Cloak of Will, so many people call it cow. Now if you can't afford this cloak, I really recommend running the Bulldozer's cloak. I really don't recommend the Cloak of Health because it just gives you health, but armor is really more important on a BF1 mage because if the mage does not have high armor, they will die relatively easy. It doesn't matter how much HP they have, they need to have armor, especially on BF1. So if you can't afford this cloak, either get the Bulldozer's cloak or get or try to at least get a Cloak of Will with a less deadly strike, like a simple 0.2 Cloak of Will, which is usually relatively cheap, under 200k, depending on what server you are in. Now moving on to robes. Now for a robe, a mage can only use 2, or not use 2, but there's only 2 best robes for a BF1 mage. The second best robe a mage can run on BF1 is of course the Apprentice Magician robe. That's a pretty basic robe, which is dropped by the mobs in Mushroom Marshland, especially the boars. It's an easy job if you don't want to waste any gold on getting the other best robe. So it's a pretty basic robe to get. Now the best robe for a BF1 mage is of course your Mushroom Robe, which is dropped in Mushroom Spore by the main boss of Mushroom Spore, which is named Poison Fungus King. Now this robe gives you that 2 armor. It gives you health 11 for taking hits and more survivability. It gives you mana for not 14, but gives you mana, and it does indeed give you mana regeneration too. Now this cloak is really overpowered in BF1, and it is the best robe for BF1 because it does give you a health boost. The max health on this robe is of course 11, and the max mana on this robe is of course 15. And this robe, it's really recommended if you're trying to buy one. Like if you see a robe that's +6 and doesn't have at least health and mana, like if it doesn't have both of them, I really don't recommend getting it just because it's +6. If you're gonna get this cloak, buy even if it's +5, even if it's +4, whatever enchant it is, get one that has both health and mana, because that really adds a lot of support to your mage, because it's giving you health and mana, a mixture of both. And of course, every robe comes with mana regeneration too. It doesn't matter what the many different robes, the many different mushroom robes, they all come with mana regeneration too. Now moving on to belts. For a BF1 Mage, there's technically, I'm guessing 3, like the top 3 best belts. The third best belt being the Fungi Skin belt, and the best belt being the Magar's belt. Now for the Magar's belt, it's really, how should I put this? Like, it's relatively hard for a. Let me put it in this case, because you're level 11, and since this belt is, since Magar's belt is only obtainable by doing the quest in Lighthouse Dungeon, and since you're level 11, if you go and try to do that quest, you're gonna die. That's simple. That's enough said. That's enough said. You're gonna die if you go do the quest just to get the Magar's belt. So if you really want to run the Magar's belt, which is by far the best belt as of now for BF1, I really recommend asking your friends or using your main account to summon you on Lighthouse Dungeon and to help you get the belt. Because if you don't have anyone to help you, or you don't have a main account, it's almost near impossible to get this belt as a BF1 main. But other than that, if you don't want to waste your time, the Fungi Skin belt is of course a good belt to run. Also because it gives you 1 armor and it gives you health boost. So like I said, the Magar's belt is the best belt. So now moving on to boots. Now for the boots, the best 3 boots for a mage that a mage can use is of course the third best boot is of course the boots of speed, giving you 2 armor and a speed boost of 3% all the way to 5%. The second boots that are by far the best are the Savage boots. The Savage boots give you 2 armor, 10 health, and an increase in speed of 6%. Now the Savage boots, technically, it's relatively easy to get them. It's like the boots of speed. They're both easy to get them. So it's really recommended to get Savage boots, since they are also easy and they are better than boots of speed, and they are indeed the second best boots that a BF1 mage can use in BF1. Every Savage boots, they all come with the same stats, so it doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about trying or looking or trying to get a match stat boot. They all come with match stats. That is being 2 armor, health 10, and an increased speed of 6%. Now moving on to the best boots that a BF1 mage can use is of course the wing boots, or in this case called WW boots. Now for the wing boots, it's really hard to get them because they are worth over 100 million when enchanted +6, and it also depends on the stats of the wing boots. They are relatively hard to get because it is the boss that drops these boots is indeed heavily farmed. That being the case, many high levels, like level 45 plus players camp and what I'm trying to say, many high level players camp this, and these levels include 45 plus. So if you don't have a proper guild, you don't have a high level account, it's almost near impossible to get the wing boots. So you're forced to buy it off Black Trader, and they are worth a lot. The wing boots are by far the second most expensive item in the game and the second rarest item in the game. Now moving on to the two gloves. Now a mage technically just has only one kind of glove that is the best glove for BF1 as of now. I know these gloves, in my opinion, they suck, but it's really easy to enchant them, and they do give you that armor, so it's better than having no gloves if you're with me. Now these gloves, they're relatively easy. Any beginner can get them, and indeed the max stats on this glove is indeed 1 health, and they all come with 1 armor. So these gloves you can easily make them by like when you just start the game. You craft them and talk to an NPC in the village that you start in. Now moving on to the wand. Now for a wand, a BF1 mage can only use 2 wands, which is not 2 wands, but technically a mage has the top 2 wands. The number 2, the second best wand is indeed the wooden staff, which is dropped in Mushroom Marshland, which the max intelligence on the wooden staff is indeed 5. But the second best staff for a BF1, I mean not the best staff as of now for a BF1 mage, is indeed the oak tree staff. Now this oak tree staff has a max intelligence of 6. In Turtle Sea server, no one has gotten a 6 intelligence oak tree staff drop. I've seen it on other servers, but not in Turtle Sea. So that really sucks because I really wanted an intelligence 6. And this the oak tree staff is relatively good. It's really recommended to get an oak tree staff because they're unenchanted oak tree staffs or +7 oak tree staffs. They're relatively cheap, so why waste your money on a wooden staff when you can get an oak tree staff? Now, if many of you are looking at the plus, like what plus is my oak tree staff, many of you I think many of you, because many people have told me like on the game that many people think I have a +9 oak tree staff or a +10 because they see my damage, which because my damage is really high. But the truth is, before I started making videos, before I started uploading videos on YouTube, I used to run indeed used to run a +9 oak tree staff, but it actually broke. This used to be my +9 oak tree staff. It used to have an intelligence of intelligence 5, but this used to be my +9 oak tree staff. But I YOLO'd. I YOLO'd and I tried to go +10, just like my sister, because I wanted to have a +10 weapon. So I just YOLO'd it and it broke. So I haven't had any time to enchant it because I'm still saving up a lot of weapon C's to go +9 back to get this wand back to +9 and even try +10 again. I already have the gems, but if any of you have any weapon C's, just hit me up on my Kakao. I'll buy them all. I'm buying any weapon C, but not overpriced weapon C's. Fairly good price based on weapon C. So if you have a lot of weapon C's, just Kakao me and hit me up, and I'll buy them off you because I'm really needing them. So yeah, as of right now, I'm running a +8 oak tree staff, and if you want to know why or how I do that much damage, it's because a +8 oak tree staff is good. But if you're running I do a lot of damage because I'm running a +8 oak tree staff. I'm running Flame Shock IV, which is maxed, and I'm running Fireball 2, which is maxed also. The max skill cap is all the way to Fireball 2. Fireball 3 is level 12 and up. So I'm running the 2 max skills +8 oak tree staff, and I am indeed running high intelligence, which is 32. So that's the reason why I do a lot of damage. Plus I'm running good equips, so that's why many of you think that I have a +9 or +10, but in this case I'm really just running a +8 oak tree staff. Now moving on to the ring. Now for a BF1 Mage, there's technically 3 best rings. The third best ring being the Ancient Ring, which gives you the 1 armor and a health boost max of 60. Which in max boost health, which the max health on an Ancient Ring, I only saw it once a long time ago from a guy named XDefX. He actually got a like 60 health Ancient Ring on, and this was on Turtle Sea Lanos. So, but that was a long time ago. So now moving on. Now the second best ring for a mage is well, sorry, my mistake. The second best ring for a mage is the Ancient Ring, and the third best ring for a mage is the Coral Ring, which is almost the same. Well, it is the same as the Coral Necklace. It gives you poison resist, but don't really matter about that, and it gives you fire resist and 1 armor. But in this case, being it's really not recommended, so ignore the Coral Ring. So if it's either you're gonna run Guardian's Ring, it's either you're gonna use Guardian's Ring or Ancient Ring. Now Ancient Ring is pretty basic. It just gives you 1 armor, like I said, and a max health of 60. That's the max on it, and it's relatively easy to get it. Just spam join a dungeon battle and just accumulate all your dungeon tokens, and you'll have your Ancient Ring for free in no time. So that's pretty easy, and they are also cheap. So if you don't want to waste your time farming for Ancient Ring, just like I said, just join dungeon battle, stay away from keyboard, or actually make a camp over and camp in and get your Ancient Ring. Now moving on to the best ring. The best ring is indeed the Guardian's Ring, which is dropped by Guardian Imp on the Lighthouse Dungeon. Now this ring gives you a 2 armor, a fire resist of 10, and a health boost of 50. Now every Guardian's Ring does indeed come with the same stats as you see my ring. Now this ring is relatively really good because it gives you, it's the only ring on BF1 that is technically gonna give you 2 armor and fire resist combined with a whopping high amount of HP which is 50. So this ring is really recommended to get, but like I said, if you don't have the money, if you don't have the time to farm, or you just you're just like technically lazy, just Ancient Ring is another good choice, which is really good also. Now I gave you my equipment showcase, and I gave you tips. I told you the stat distribution, but another thing to note is that many people have trouble deciding on their equips whether to enchant them with mana, intelligence, or HP. Now, like I said, just let me tell you this. On a BF1 Mage, you don't really need to. It's not really recommended. You don't have to enchant any of your equips. You don't have to enchant any of your equips with mana. I only have the Mangar's Bow mana plus 10 because I actually got a scroll and I just tried it out. But I am gonna take away the mana plus 10 on my belt and go all the and enchant it with intelligence. Now it's either you're gonna run intelligence or you're either gonna run all HP on your equips. But like I said, because as a BF1 mage or as a magician in general, you should like max out or you should enchant all your equips with INT and put and that's basically it. Just enchant all your equips with intelligence, because intelligence will technically increase your damage and success rates, and also your healing amount. Because every 2 intelligence increases the amount magicians heal by 1. So intelligence is like the most important stat for a mage. So, and in this term, like I actually see the difference, because when I used to have like 20, when I used to run like 28 intelligence, I never actually did 152 deadlies. But now with 32 intelligence, I do deadlies of like 300 something, like 302, and I do criticals of like 200 something, and I do deadlies and this is on the sandbag. It's different when you're PvPing. So I do deadlies of like 152, 160 on people on BF on BF1, like on the actual other players. So that's why intelligence, like the higher intelligence, the more faster you will kill, and because it does increase your magical attack damage. So that's really important. But if you don't care, or if you think because getting intelligence on equips is really expensive, you can also run all HP, which also HP is important. But in my recommended tip is to get all your equipment with intelligence. That's what I'm running right now. If you want to take a look, that's basically the equipment. And another thing to know that I forgot to tell you guys, one last equipment to equip is of course your pet. Now any pet is relatively good, because if you don't have a pet, you don't get all the boost, all the beneficial boost or buffs that a pet gives you. So any pet is really good in my opinion. So there's nothing else to say about the pets. If you're really rich, just get the newest pet, or the one with the highest deadly strike. That's if you're really rich. But if you're really not that rich or don't have that many funds, or you just don't care, just get any pet. Any pet you like is good. It's technically good. Like I've been using, I fell in love with my Karari. I haven't changed this for a while, and I'm not planning to change it until later on. So I'll be keeping this pet for now. Now, thank you for watching, guys. Remember to like this video, especially share this video with your friends, and it helps the channel grow, and it helps me keep making videos for you guys. And remember to subscribe, like, share, and be back YouTube.